Good evening, Dr. Peterson. Thanks for continuing this series. Even us atheists appreciate the interaction and the conversation. I wanted to ask you something that is both emotional and analytical, because oftentimes you're basically pegged as seeing things very analytically. So you were talking earlier about the juxtaposition between happiness and honor, even though I don't think they're mutually exclusive personally. But if there's a situation, let's say, where someone is truly in love with someone else, and they love them for many years and decades, they have a whole history together, and then one of the people in this grouping start falling in love with someone else. So it's not that there's less love for the original partner. How analytically and emotionally do you take care of a situation like that when you feel that you want to stay honorable and be happy?
Okay, so the first thing I would say is the devil's always in the details, right? So one of the things that I'm not happy about with much modern moral theorizing is that it takes a story like that, and then tries to extract out a general moral principle. And often that's impossible because the particulars of the situation are very important. But having said that, all right, so let me think about that for a minute. I'm not sure that it's possible to be honorable in a situation like that, because I think that you've acted out the violation already. And having acted out the violation, to confess it might be the right thing to do, although perhaps not. Because it isn't obvious to me that if you betray someone, then you get to have the right to tell them about it. I know you're not. I understand that. Yeah, I understand. My observation has been that if there's a tight relationship, and if one party is betrayed by the other in that manner, that it's almost always irreconcilable. It breaks it. And I've helped people try to struggle through that, on both sides of it, the person who was betrayed and the person who did the betrayal. I've seen people grow up and not do it again, and this was in situations where their partner didn't know. And in a couple of those situations, it seemed to me that it might have even been a necessary learning experience for the person who did it. It helped them develop. That doesn't mean I'm justifying it, but life is complicated. But I think that society works better, all things considered, when you make a promise and you stick to it. And one of the things I learned from reading Jung, which I really liked, was, he believed that, and he had his affairs too, so you might think about it as somewhat hypocritical, but I think that people can make mistakes without having what they think necessarily be wrong. He said that there are things in a marriage that you can't have unless you're all in. And I believe that. And so if there's a back door open, to begin with, or a back door opens, then I think that there's something about the relationship that is lacking at least, and I think you pay a big price for that. So, it depends on whether you regard a marriage as a practical arrangement or a spiritual arrangement. Now, really, it's both, and both are important. But if it's a spiritual arrangement or a psychological arrangement above all, then I do think that you don't get the transformation without being all in. And if you violate it, then even if you can work it out with your partner, there's something that you will never get as a consequence.